What's up, everyone? It's Michael Fight, and welcome to our Game of Thrones review bow tie-less edition. Alright guys, so the last episode of Game of Thrones that aired on Sunday night was entitled Battle of the Bastards. So you kind of have an idea as to what happened in this episode. But, needless to say, many people are saying this is actually one of the best episodes of Game of Thrones they've ever seen, aside from things like The Red Wedding, which actually a lot of people are saying this is an even better episode. Now, the cool thing about this episode is that only two things really happened in this entire episode, which is very rare. They didn't touch on a lot of stories. This really only focused on two major plot lines. One was only kind of in the beginning, wrapped it up, and then the rest of it was led on one really big journey. So this is the spoiler section of this, so I do ask that if you have not watched it yet, go fucking watch it and then come back and watch my video. Anyways, all right. So the episode starts off where we're seeing that Khaleesi, that Daenerys has come back, and Meereen is under attack by the Masters. So Tyrion looking very scared and getting pummeled. The buildings come and you know, Khaleesi and she is just not afraid. So Daenerys and her royal cabinet meet up with the Masters, and you know, they give this arrogant speech about, like, you know, what are the terms of your surrender? Blah blah, and she's like, no, hold on. She's like, we got this. And then she jumps aboard her dragon, and the other two dragons break free, and she just destroys the entire fleet and takes over the rest of her ships. So now Daenerys has her ships to raid Westeros, which is really, really cool. We see Grey Worm kind of do some action. It's been a while since we've seen him do something really cool, and he kills two of the Masters, and then Tyrion threatens the third Master and basically says, like, hey, go back to your people and remind them what happens when you fuck with my girl. And that was the big part of the scene. Now, one of the other cool things that happened in this episode is we see Theon Greyjoy and his sister actually come to Daenerys, and they plead for her to help them take back their kingdom from their stupid uncle that's doing, you know, that's trying to take over it. And so her and the two girls, they bond, and like there's this total chemistry, and she's wicked flirting, and it was awesome. And they basically come to this bond of, like, look, just, you know, you give us our little port, and you can go off and be queen, and we're not going to try to take it from you, and we don't want anything. We're just asking nicely. Just give us back our home. That's all that we ask. And so they make an accord, and she says, cool, yeah, I'll do that, but you have to stop, you know, being dicks to everyone. And she's like, okay, we'll do that. Now, on to the biggest part of this whole thing. So a lot of this season has been prepped where Jon Snow and now Sansa are together, and they're about to raid Ramsay Bolton and take back their land. They're about to take back the north. So they get their army together, and they've got a few wildlings, and they've got, you know, the people from that cool 10-year-old that sent them like 30 people or whatever. And so the battle is about to begin, and they go off and they have their battle. And it looks like they're about to be screwed over. But if we remember correctly, Sansa actually wrote a letter to Littlefinger and requested an army from the creepy kid with the moonwall thing, and in fact the army comes and saves the day in the end. But one of the big things about this is that in the beginning of that sort of battle, Jon Snow challenges Ramsay Bolton, pictured here. Actually, kind of looks like more like an adult Joffrey, you know what I mean? But Ramsay Bolton, and so he challenges him to a one-on-one battle at the start of the war, and he's like, you and me, let's just fight. And, you know, Ramsay, being the little squirrely shit that he is like, nah, my army can beat yours. Why would I challenge you in battle? You're known as the best swordsman in the whole world. And so they end up having this battle, and Jon Snow just lives through the whole thing. He's just, like, going crazy and just covered in blood and mud, and it was just a really cool battle, even though from the majority of the battle, their team was actually getting pretty beaten down. But in the end, you know, obviously they triumph, and the guys come in, and they rescue him, and they storm the castle, and Jon Snow just goes freaking savage on Ramsay Bolton's face, just punching the shit out of them. Now, one thing to note that I didn't mention, that they had Rickon, and Ramsay lets him try to run, and he ends up shooting him with an arrow and killing them, and that was kind of what sparked Jon Snow's hatred. And so Jon Snow just beats the shit out of him as he should have, and then they chain him up in the little prison thing, and Ramsay had noted earlier that he had a bunch of dogs he was going to let loose on them because he hadn't fed them in 7 days, and in the very end of the episode, Sansa comes in and is like, oh look, here's your hounds, and he's all like bloody and he's chained up, and he's like, my hounds are loyal, and she's like, we'll see. And the hounds end up literally eating Ramsay Bolton alive, which is more than he deserved, or less than what he deserved, because he deserved to be just pulled apart at the absolute worst, because he's a horrible person. But anyways, as Sansa leaves, we see her have that little smirk. Like, Sansa, girl getting crazy. Like, she getting crazy up in there, and she gonna do some shit. But one of the cool things that kind of was touched upon, but they didn't really focus on, is that Sir Davos actually sees the little stag that he had given to the tiny little girl with the dragon face, and I think he's plotting to go after the Red Woman. So that's going to be something that happens. But next week is the season finale, which is crazy. It's happened so fast. So I expect an explosive one. Hopefully they tie up the story about Bran, because everybody's already forgotten about Bran. And don't forget, we have Khaleesi going on. We have the trial going on for Cersei. We have the Hound, who's just, we don't know where he is. And remember those like Spanish guys, the Dorans or whatever? Like, that was like a storyline, right? Is that ever going to be a thing again? Who knows? All right, guys, thanks a lot for joining me for my review of Game of Thrones Battle of the Bastards. Don't forget to catch me this week where we recap the week's news. Tons of things to talk about, none of which are going to be LeBron James. But anyways, cool, guys. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Bye!